All right, so I thought I would talk a little bit with you about the whammy bar on the guitar and some uses that you can do with it. So I'm going to show you the most functional things that you actually can use in a musical context. Now, this particular guitar has what's called a floating tremolo. Now, a lot of times the tremolo or the whammy bar will sit against the body of the guitar, right? And when you use it, you can push it forward like this. Okay, this particular guitar has what's called a floating tremolo system. So what happens is, if you see right here, I can put my finger underneath here. Okay, so I can push it forward, but I can also push it backwards like this. Okay, now in order to be able to do that, the strings have got to be stretched out, and they probably have to be relatively new because you could break them fairly easy, but it's very important to understand that because the way I'm using the whammy bar requires a little bit of forward and backward motion. I use the whammy bar a lot for things like vibrato, dips we call them, different kinds of things like that. So let me kind of show you what I mean. So if I was playing a note, for instance, on the guitar, now I could, of course, add a vibrato to it. And that's great, and I do that all the time. But with the whammy bar, I'm going to get a little different kind of sound. And notice how I can change the speed at which that vibrato is happening by moving that back and forth. Now, I've been playing floating tremolos since 1988. Okay, so it's become very much a part of the way I play. So if you're not familiar with a floating tremolo and a tremolo in general, you don't need one. Okay, number one, I'm not going to get into the philosophical part of this, but they're a lot more work. You know, like I've got a locking tremolo system here, so changing strings is a lot more work. I can't just retune it, anything like that. It's a lot more work to do all that kind of stuff. If I break a string, the guitar becomes utterly it's not usable. If your tremolo sits against the body of the guitar, everything is a billion times easier. Okay? The only difference is you wouldn't be able to go back, you would just go forward. So when you're doing your vibrato, you would just push forward. But it's going to sound a little different, and you got to explore that a little bit, okay? But that's one thing that you can do is you can use it for vibrato. The next thing you can do is dips. Like a siren, right? So I'm hitting a note. In whatever way I want. Now, I use dips a lot when I play a note and I'm going to move on the guitar. So I might do something where I'm going like this. Like that. So I'll use the whammy bar. See, so I could literally dip it and pick the finger up and move it. Or I'll just slide it. And then I can add vibrato at the end. Now again, doesn't mean you want to do that, okay, but you can. Another thing I like to do with it is I'll do a bend. And I'll do that kind of thing where I dip it. And now you start getting kind of into Jeff Beck territory a little bit, if you're familiar with Jeff Beck's playing, where you can get some kind of awkward sounds. But notice how as I'm doing that, I'm not picking anymore. I'm doing a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs when I do that. So there's another video, either right above this one or right below this one, that talks about some other wide, like throating. Like crazier things that you can do, harmonics, things like that. So I don't need to talk about that. You can watch that other video. But in this one, I just wanted you to think of some practical things that you could do with a vibrato, or with a whammy bar, I should say. Certainly, like that kind of stuff I use all the time. I just love the sound of a whammy bar vibrato versus a traditional. And I like traditional vibrato. Of course, I use that too. But I really love the fact that I could use this on like the first string, where the first string, it's a little bit harder to do the vibrato, right? You can still totally do it, but... So that's some other practical uses for a whammy bar that you can use.